Good day, folks. How is everyone doing? Everyone out there in YouTube land? Hope you're all doing well, and of course, realizing that the government doesn't love you. Also realizing, of course, that everything you've been told since the day you were born is a lie. It is July the 30th of 2025, 2:07 p.m. Mr. Buzz is coming to you from the communist shithole known as Ontario, Canada. And this is intended to be an educational video, so if you get anything out of it, please give me a thumbs up. And I hope you learned something today from this. It's a term that you hear a lot. A lot of people hear it, and if you're like me, you hear a new term, you go and look it up right away. I'll pause a video, and if there's something I don't understand, I got to go research right in the middle of it. I'm an inquiring mind. I just have to know. This is one I heard for the first time a few years ago. The Overton window. And I talk a lot about how the technocrats, how the social engineers will mold society into their way, the way they want it. And there's lots and lots of different things they have to do. They have to shape public opinion. They have to demonize certain things, make everyone hate certain groups of people and think they're evil. And I mean, the technocrats do all kinds of underhanded, sneaky stuff. But the Overton window, well, I'll start with a definition for you. The Overton window, also known as the window of discourse, refers to the range of ideas and policies that are considered acceptable and politically feasible within mainstream public discourse at a given time. It represents the spectrum of opinions that politicians can publicly support without losing significant public support. So basically what it's acceptable to even discuss. If something is considered extreme, politicians want to stay away from it. People started screaming for, I'll give you an example, weed legalization. People were screaming for that for years, but no politician would touch it. Because even talking about legalizing weed, that's political suicide, or it was. There's a time when it was. So they tried to shift the Overton window. They use social media mostly, advertising, Edward Bernays tricks. I've done videos on him before, the propaganda king. He wanted, it wasn't acceptable for women to smoke. So they had this big parade, and they had this famous actress, I forget who she was, but she was on the float, and she's smoking a big old cigarette, and the women were like, oh, run to the store and buying cigarettes. That made it acceptable. First time someone saw a famous woman like that smoking right in public. So obviously it was okay to do. So that's how they shifted that Overton window. So I'm going to use this Overton window idea with corruption, okay? Because there is an acceptable amount of corruption in this world. Shouldn't be any. We shouldn't even allow for a tiny bit of it. But I heard somebody say something in a video yesterday that just like made me think of this. Like, wow, we accept this. We go along with it. Talking about passing legislation, and you expect them to be bloated a certain amount, and when they call a bill bloated, they're talking about putting some money aside for something that's in the legislation, but putting more than is needed because their friends are going to siphon some off, and they're going to embezzle a bit, and there's a whole bunch of stealing's going to go on. And this person was actually talking about over-bloating, as though there was a regular amount of bloating that was okay. That's basically what he was saying. And this is true. This is how bad it's gotten. Now, I used to have a long-distance relationship with a girl in Africa. She lived in Nairobi, Kenya. And she used to educate me really thoroughly on the way things were there, right? And I'd educate her about how things were here, and we'd make comparisons, and Sometimes she'd be like, wow, it must be heaven to live in a place where they don't do this stuff. Well, they do it. It's getting worse every day. But over there, wow. Wow. If you think you're going to go to Africa for a better life, maybe if you're moving from North Korea, Africa is a corrupt place, okay? The locals, the Overton corruption window there is crazy. What is considered acceptable? It's actually commended if you're a real good scammer and you can, be corrupt and get away with it and get yourself rich by stealing and embezzling from other people. You'll move up the ranks. You're considered, this person knows what they're doing. The police are expected to demand bribes. This is just accepted and expected. There's no problem with it. This is how you deal with the cops. You want them to do anything for you, you're going to have to pay them. It's completely illegal. Even in their books it is, but they all do it. It's become acceptable. The banks rob every person who walks through the door over there really badly. They will literally steal money right out of your account and make some bullshit excuse why they did it. They're really terrible. The police are raping everybody over there. That's who you fear for being raped. If you're a woman in Africa, you fear the cops more than anybody. They're raping people all the time. It's just over the top crazy. That's the way it is there. It's become acceptable. It moves slowly in that direction. And then eventually you look around and you get a society that's completely corrupt, lawless, without morals. Society decays because people are willing to accept a certain level of corruption. It's happening here. It's happening here. Since the Liberals have been in power in Canada, there's been scandal after scandal after scandal involving billions and billions and billions of dollars being stolen by the politicians and their friends. They've caught them having these green slush funds where they take all this money and put it in this fund, this account, whatever, and then they claim they're going to do all these green initiatives for climate change and all this horse pucky that they talk about. And what they're actually doing is setting up fake companies. Their friends are setting up fake companies, and then they funnel the money through them, and there's kickbacks, and they steal like freaking crazy. It's acceptable to do this now. And we even catch them. We have absolute proof they've done it. What happens? Take a guess. Take a guess. Same thing that happened after the big financial collapse in 2008. That was all because of derivatives. If you ever heard of them, derivatives are so complicated that hardly anybody can understand them. But they were perfect for the biggest heist that's ever happened. Okay, it's just they stole everyone's life savings through these derivatives. It's not acceptable, and if people don't wake up to that soon, it's going to get so bad that all the Western countries, we're heading in the direction of, like places in Africa, like Kenya. It seems that people are now willing to accept and expect a certain level of corruption. I don't know how they've managed to convince people that corruption and stealing our money is okay, but they have. And that was proof the other night when I saw that. He said, you expect the bill to be bloated, but this is over-bloated. Over-bloated. So you expect them to steal, but they're stealing too much. It's really what he said. I was just blown away. I'm like, wow, should make a video about that, because it's like the Overton window shifting. Before it was only acceptable to, steal maybe $500 million, but now you can steal $2 billion. Just don't overbloat the bill, and steal 20 billion. Then maybe somebody will have a problem with it. Wow. Humans are funny creatures. We go along with things and then we complain about them. That's what we're doing here. The accepted level of corruption, we need to shift the Overton window back the other way. And I mean, this isn't really the Overton window. The Overton window, I'm just using it as a comparison because it's kind of similar. What's acceptable to even discuss in society and what politicians are able to do without committing political suicide. Well, it's very much like the Overton window. You can steal a certain amount of money and everybody just expected you to do that anyway because you're a politician, which is a synonym for criminal. It honestly is. Politician, criminal. Very little difference in those words. It's pretty much the same word. They're synonyms for sure. So that's all I have to say about corruption and politicians. Well, I have lots more I could say about them. I've said most of it before, but that's what the Overton window is. The Overton window itself is a very interesting thing to look at. The way that they shift it, the way they, think of all these things that we see going on in society now. Those things would never have cut the mustard 20 years ago. But now, the world's gone so loony. Man, where's the limit now? Where is the Overton? I don't even know. Is there even an Overton window? It seems it's a complete free-for-all now, and there's no limits. So I don't think that Overton window concept is going to survive. It's to the point where anything goes, and we get politicians going to pride parades and going to BLM riots and taking a knee for them and supporting 50-year-old men showering with 9-year-old girls in locker rooms, and we got all kinds of weirdness going on. And who would have defended all that stuff years ago? Nobody. Some of them are even pushing for lowering ages of consent. So they're basically supporting pedophilia. And that seems to be okay now. It's not okay, obviously, but they get away with it. Years ago, you would have mentioned that once as a politician, that would have been the end of your career. It would have been all over right there. Now, nope. That Overton window has completely moved. And it hasn't gone in a good direction, folks. We're in a godless society now. We need to go back the other way. I don't think we're going to, but the liberals are pushing that Overton window as far as they can go. And they're not going to be satisfied until it's a lawless, sick, it is lawless and sick and demented. So hopefully they're satisfied, because looks like we're already there. Thanks for watching. I hope you get something out of that. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life.